know. I think it's camaraderie. I think it's what you do to help your fellow man, and whose back you take and who you can rely on. I think that has a lot to do with it. So, I don't know, but the whole world's gone zombie crazy.
We're not allowed to talk about that. But we can talk about a prison, if you want to talk about a prison.
Are we not allowed to talk about time jump?
No.
Wow.
That's rule 1 of Fight Club.
Wow.
Don't talk about it, if at all. There is one. But I would say that there is, not in answer to your question, there is a certain development character. I mean, I think all of these characters have moved on just because of the environment and the world. And I do think, speaking for Rick, is that I read The Road by Cormac McCarthy and saved it until this season. And it was really interesting because I think psychologically that's where Rick is at the moment. He's been pushing people away to protect his group. And he keeps doing that, and in so doing, he loses his humanity. And I think certainly the writers, and we've talked about him, his journey this season is about realizing that he does need other people. Yeah. And I think that this relationship is a very key relationship for him, along with other new characters perhaps as well.
And Daryl's kind of the opposite. Daryl's sort of finding his place in the world and feeling like he's appreciated and finding things worth fighting for, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's the opposite. It's interesting to see how these characters in their different journeys and how they come together and learn to work with each other or work against each other. It's very interesting.
I don't know how we made it so far. we still live in fear, believe me. But I think it's one of the exciting things. I hope that the audiences, we never want the audience to feel that anybody is too safe and anybody can be taken at any time. And I think it adds an extra dimension to the show, you know.
Our job description is a lot like our characters.
Very much, yeah.
Fighting for your life.
Fight for your life. No. In fact, at the end of episode 1, there's because KNB, the Nicoteros team are magnificent, and they keep reinventing new ways to shock us. I mean, I really seriously think that's the way they do it. They go, if we really appall the cast, it means that we're doing our job properly. And there's something happens at the end of episode 1, and we'd done a sort of 15-hour day. It was an intense scene. Yeah. And my wife sent a message to set and just said, tell him to stay overnight because we film an hour outside of Atlanta. And she said, just stay at Peachtree City. And I was like, and I got that on set, and it was just before doing this thing. And I couldn't sleep for 2.5 hours, man, after I'd done this because it was so realistic. The prosthetic, what they did.
I thought you sent a photo to Gail of yourself looking disgusting, and she said, you know what, tell him to stay away.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Oh, she does. She says, well, I nearly got pulled over by the police one time when I didn't wash myself. And I was drenched in blood. And I was like driving home, and there was a roadblock, and I was like, this is it. And I was just like, and I just looked more and more like a serial killer. I mean, and from now on there was agreement. They said to makeup, they just say hot towels on Andy at the end of work, because I just jump in the car and drive home, and they're like, no, stop it. I mean, there was one of the episodes. You saw me coming out of the thing, and you were like, what is happening?
I think you came to hug me, and I'm like, no, we're good.
Even he went, get away from me, man.
And we have a running joke on set, like who's. Like, I have to be dirtier than him, or he has to be,
the dirt wars.
Yeah, who has the most blood on them and so forth. I get very upset if Andy has more blood than me. When I first started acting, and I was strictly doing films, other actors would come up to me and go, hey, I got this TV show, and you go, keep trying, buddy. Good for you. It's a stepping stone.
It's the same with me.
But television now is like Breaking Bad is one of my favorite shows. I was hooked on that show and Mad Men before this job even came around. But I was actually watching Breaking Bad on my iPad last night to catch up for the premiere tomorrow. But television is so good right now, and especially AMC. Their shows are just on fire.
Yeah, they are. They're making some terrific stuff, and so varied as well. That's one of the impressive things I think about AMC.
Yeah, they're amazing shows. And, you know, even when you see a trailer for a new AMC show, you're like, this is going to be amazing, you know, right off the bat. I've gotten into Game of Thrones a little bit. I just started that one, although I can't figure out if it's the past or the future. I don't know what's going on with that show. And Peter Dinklage is an old friend of mine too, so I was watching that. But TV's great right now. It's really, really good.
Well, I think we're at the mecca of kind of, you know, this genre TV, which, you know, you can, if it's done well, I think, tell really primal, important, emotional stories, and because you've got such an extreme world to inhabit. And I think that's certainly when this idea was pitched to me, I was initially reluctant. I went, really, a zombie show, survival horror show? And they went, no, it's not about that. It's about, you know, it's a survival. It's about the humanity. It's about humanity. You get the opportunity to say something about humanity in this extraordinary world.
It's kind of like Survivor, like allies and you know what I mean, alliances and so forth.
And I just think it's interesting. It's a kind of, you know, an experiment. And also people, when it's well written and well made, people really want to empathize. They want to live. I mean, the extraordinary fan mail that we get it's absolutely about that. It's all about, it's so detailed, and it's so much about the character development and how they see and view Rick or Daryl and Laurie and all of these other characters. You know?
I mean, right off, when I first saw the pilot for season 1 with you, like when you go to the zombie crawling across the grass, and you feel so sad for you see the sickness behind the monster, and I knew right then it was something completely different.
It's just interesting.
Well, I mean, the crossbow, they let me practice with the crossbow. It's pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. But the cutting up of animals and stuff, they sent me to a taxidermist in southern Georgia, this really nice older lady that you walked into her place and it was just animals everywhere, and like a popcorn machine next to a bobcat with safety pins in his face. And she taught me, enjoy your breakfast. Taught me how to.
I'm running the fruit now.
Taught me how to cut them up properly and skin them and all that stuff, and it was quite an eye opener. And I really got into it. Actually, I had an art show in New York in Times Square where they wanted pictures of my experience in Georgia, and I sent them 20 photos that were blown up all of roadkill. So I'm very much into all of that right now. It's just sad to say.
Was that the roadkill experiment?
I was sending emails to the whole cast going, if you guys see some good roadkill on the side of the road, be sure and remember where it's at.
The roadkill project of last year that no one came up with. I'm always nervous. This is not my natural environment, doing interviews, because it's kind of, I much prefer doing the work and letting the work speak for itself rather than the other way around. But it's different, this show, because it's kind of, I am incredibly proud of it, you know, and I don't mind saying that, actually, because I do think it's for me, and I don't know, maybe for everybody else, it's a role of a lifetime, and I want to do justice to that. And I want to serve the fans, and I want to honor their respect for the comic book, and I want to just give everything I've got to this show. And so each year it's, of course we want to please the fans.
But this, I mean, Comic-Con it's all fans. It's not critics. It's people that love the show, that put in their own money and their own time to come out here and celebrate.
So it's a festival of enthusiasm.
Not as scary as it seems.
And I think it's just it's this bit around it that is kind of, you know. But you know, the good news is we've got this is the 3rd season, so we've got stuff to talk about. The first time round, it's almost like you had to explain what it was. But here was the first time that people knew about it. So it was so cool because it was the fans. Without the fan base, we wouldn't be here. So it's kind of, you know, this is a source of home for us.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice meeting people dressed up as your characters, and
I was kind of very touched that in 400,000 people last year, 2 people came dressed as me. And, I saw that as a small victory. They could also have just been cops.
That's true. That's true.
But I like to think that it's for me.
They could have been strippers. Actually. He sort of won the lottery with this role. It's an amazing role.
It's an amazing role. And David's someone I've known, and never worked with actually back home in England, and someone I've admired, and I can't wait. I mean, we're really looking forward to working, or maybe not working. You see what I did there, guys?
He's a lovely guy too. Like, what a nice guy.
He's a sweetheart. And it is. It's just, I think for him as well, it is really exciting, because this is our 3rd year, and we're like, wait until you get a load of this place, because it's it hasn't even begun yet, and just seeing all the fanboy stuff.
I'm excited to see his face in a couple of hours. Watch him wet his pants a little bit.
Yeah, well, I did. I still do. It's terrifying. Private. No, I'm only kidding. It was he was just sounding me out about it, and I just said, this is one of the great crews and casts I've ever had the good fortune of working with. And I said, if ever there was a role that you wanted to come to America and be welcomed into America with, it's this one. It was voted the best. It beat the Joker in the best comic book villain of all time. So and I think that hit home. He went, really? I went, yeah. It's a serious part. And also he was a fan of the show. He watched it, and he said, and that's what I said. I said, just check it out, just see what you think, and see what we're trying to make. And he said, yeah, I love it. I love what you're trying to do. And he's a bright man, and he's also done some great work. So he'll bring a fantastic depth, I think, and reality to the show.
And the ladies are swooning already.
Oh, it's unbearable, man. He gets all the best costumes, and he looks really glamorous as well. And we're just draped in blood and dirt. That's kind of what we do. We're rats.
I prefer it.
Yeah, I don't want to clean up. I think that's a Glenn question. I mean,
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, those are kind of decisions that are, out of my remit. But I think we always, by definition of the different media, they're always going to stand alone as their own thing. Mm-hmm. The comic book is the comic book by definition. In fact, it's a comic book. This is a TV show, and I'm not sure. I can't speak for the fans, but certainly I wouldn't want to see a facsimile of the comic book.
I'd rather watch him bring him to life instead of just give him to you.
And it is about sort of hopefully bringing other aspects and maybe exploring greater depths that you couldn't do in the comic book. But he's a perfect example. He's a character that doesn't exist in the comic book, and yet he's created an absolutely magnificent, beautiful, sexy, dangerous, irritatingly good-looking character. Yeah, I know.
I'll pay you later.
I'm his agent, actually.
You can have some of
I've
my
already
baby.
left the show. I've actually died already. I just want to be his dresser for the rest of the season.
He's 11, so he started watching the show sort of like this, and then I had, I explained to him, that head's made of rubber that just fell on the ground and so forth. And now he's really excited. But I picked him up from school around, during second season, and he had this big smile on his face. So I walked up, I was like, what's with the smile? And he goes, some of the older kids in school came up and said, is your dad Daryl Dixon? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, all right. So he's getting like some older kid love. So now he's really into the show, He came down to set, and I asked him, do you want to be a zombie? And he was kind of like, so how long does the makeup take? And I was like, you'll be in there for about 5 hours. It'll be another 2 hours to get it off. And he's like, no.
we're not allowed to say anything.
I know.
I literally read this sheet in the car, and it was like,
it's like,
what can we talk about? And they said, well, it premieres on October the 14th. That's it. That's pretty much there it is. But the 15th for you guys and the rest of the world. But I don't know. It's it really feels like these characters have moved on. I mean,
it's true, yeah.
And I, we've had a great time. I get to work with this man a lot more this season, and it's been one of the big thrills for me. And I'm kind of, I've got a real man crush on him. He's kind of like, I sort of did 3 years training, classical training, and I realized that Norman just went to cool school. So I'm just trying to follow. I'm sort of staying in his wake.
It's prison love.
It's prison love. Yeah. Don't drop the soap, Norman.